very much like life in terms of, you know, the opportunities we have to reach our goals or change the things we want to change. And so for me, it was kind of like putting life in a very finite way. You know, now he's got younger 40 chances than I've got, but it makes you focus. It should help you think about a sense of urgency. It may, in our foundation, it makes a difference to the people we hire. Because we want people that aren't worried about, you know, what are they going to do in a career, what are they going to do right now, and what are they going to do to try to change some of the problems we work on.
With the way media is today and the way that we hear about everything going wrong in the world. And if there's one really critical thing I've learned traveling with my father around the world, it is how optimistic people are everywhere, almost everywhere at least. And we have met individuals who've got next to nothing. And they'll invite us in their homes, they'll share their stories with us out of hope that we can at least take those stories back and share them with others. And you know, they'll give us bread that they don't have to share and drinks and everything. And they have just this internal and eternal optimism that things will someday get better, or at least be better for their children. And it's so hard, I think, sometimes in our day-to-day lives, at least here in the U.S., I think, to keep that in mind. Because, you know, the bar is not quite as low, you know, around here. And I think when I spend time with the students at Columbia, we talk a lot about the individuals that we profile in 40 Chances. You know, we've got about a dozen or maybe 2 dozen stories, a dozen chapters at least dedicated to really remarkable people who are just heroes in their fields of what they're doing, but their names you would have never heard of unless you've read the book. And they are really what I think keeps us going, because we know that they're out there, they're committed, they are changing the lives for others, and that they're not going to stop.
The market system has dynamics that if a CEO doesn't do well, he's got shareholders to answer to, or he's got a board to answer to. If you don't produce what your customers want to buy, you go out of business. I mean, you know, there's dynamics that mean that your behavior and performance are measured in a way that you find out. And in philanthropy, it's different, because if I can have a really stupid idea, and as long as I can convince you that it's not stupid, I can just keep doing it. And so there's no, you know, and then the worst part of it is really that I have to go out and raise more money every year. So the only thing I want to do is show success. Listen to him talk on the phone and try to figure out why he was, I mean, I still remember a conversation over about 3 or 4 days when he was getting ready to close down the Buffalo Evening News because of a strike. And, you know, from that conversation I learned, you know, draw a line in the sand if that's what you have to do, stick with it, be willing to take your losses, be fair. You know, so I had hundreds of opportunities, thousands of opportunities like that to watch him operate. I still remember when Al Sorensen came over, he was going to run for mayor, and I remember, I mean, you know, so there's all these opportunities to observe him. And by observing him, I think I had one of the great schoolrooms that anybody could ever provide, and it's driven a lot of my thinking. And from a foundation perspective, the one thing that he said to us very clearly was, don't worry about hitting home runs, don't worry about swinging at the safe pitches, take some real risks, try some big things, try to see if you can change something. And so his support for our approach, because we do a lot of risky things in terms of what we do with our money, and to have him back that and to have him believe philosophically that that's what we should do is a really huge thing for me.
Agriculture development, there are some clear signals, and it's ironic with what has been going on through government aid and investment over the last few decades. So we know that about 3/4 of the world's poor live in parts of the world where farming is the primary activity.